Right, hello everybody. I'm Associate Professor Adam Hawkey from Solent University, and you're joining me virtually in our Spark building for my series of Hawkey Talkie, where I talk to influential individuals and inspiring people in the world of sport, space, health, and education. And I'm absolutely delighted today to have two honoured guests from Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service, Adam Bundle and Stu Vince, who are taking on a monumental challenge, an Atlantic rowing challenge, rowing across the Atlantic in support of Firefighters charity and Solent Mind. So what I'd like to do now is introduce these two guys, get them to tell us a little bit about themselves, and then we'll crack on with the formal part of the interview. So welcome both of you, and if you could just introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do in the fire service. That would be a great start.
Okay. I'm Adam Bundle. I'm a watch manager at Blue Watch St Mary's in Southampton. I've been on station there for nearly 15 years now, and I run a watch of 15, and we cover the whole of Southampton. So we go to all types of incidents. We cover the station 24/7, and we've been really focusing on mental health in the workplace over the last few years, just to start improving things in the fire service. And
Stu?
Yeah, so hello, my name's Stu Vince. I've recently been promoted to station manager, actually. So I was on the same station as Adam, so I'm now in charge of 6 stations in the New Forest, which is a pretty nice place to work, I have to say. So yeah, I've been in the fire service 22 years. Recently, in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, suffered pretty badly with my mental health. Suffered a breakdown in 2015 after donating a kidney in 2011. That kind of resulted in me being off for around 6 months, hugely affected my family and friends. And now, fortunately, I'm in the recovery phase of that. So it was a dream of mine to row across the Atlantic Ocean from about 2010. And now I've managed to collar Adam into doing it, obviously next year. So yeah, as Adam mentioned, really trying to raise awareness of mental health in the workplace, particularly in the service and emergency services, and across the wider community that we serve as well. And obviously, yeah, if we can raise a few funds for both the Firefighter charity and Solent Mind in the process of rowing across the Atlantic, then yeah, great.
Right, great. So let's get into this then. Let's talk a little bit about this epic adventure of rowing across the Atlantic. So Adam, how's this come about? Tell us a bit more about
as Stu mentioned earlier, he was due to do this about 7 or 8 years ago, and he had to pull out due to donating kidney. He approached me on his birthday, sort of wrote me into it. I took it on quite lightly. I didn't really realise how much of a toll this would take. It's taken so much work to get to where we are. I'm so proud of what we've done, but it's been a lot of work, isn't it, Stu?
Yeah.
So we've both been dealing with quite a lot of issues at work, in the workplace, with people that we managed and friends as well, with mental health. So it all tied in really nicely together to make it a positive mental health campaign, and just spend as much time as we can preparing ourselves, and also educating people and reducing the stigma as we go. So we've had really positive effect. It's taken about 2 years to get to this point now, so it's a lot of work.
Yeah, so you talk about kind of 2 years kind of preparing for it. Stu, can you tell us a bit about some of the changes you've had to make to your lives in order to prepare for, for such a challenge, both physically and mentally, I guess?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest challenge we've had is kind of balancing our lives, actually. So kind of obviously, as Adam alluded to, that actually it's taken a huge monumental task to get to the start line. We were told by Atlantic campaigns in the very beginning that the biggest achievement is actually making the start line, as opposed to completing the race, albeit that's obviously both a mental and a physical challenge. But yeah, I think certainly, around our training, I've actually suffered from a bad back recently this year as well. So that's been a huge impact on our training. So Adam's been out on the boat with a few other people. So that's made a big impact. But yeah, I think the time away from our families, both during this last 2 years to get to where we're at, has had a big impact on us. we've also, kind of across our journey over the last two years, been really fortunate to experience some fantastic things. So we've met Prince William, which was really great, and talked to him about mental health as well, which was fantastic. That was down at one of the Firefighters charity places down in Devon. So yeah, some fantastic things that have happened to us. But yeah, obviously the training, which Solent University have really helped us with, and time away from our families has probably been the biggest impact to our life so far, I would suggest.
Yeah, so I mean, you mentioned our university there, and it's a good point to probably step in. We first met over a year ago. The two of you contacted me for, I guess from the email I got from a kind of wild chance that we might be able to help, and we were obviously delighted. So we've been speaking about preparing you for this challenge, and since then you've been training and being tested at Solent during that time. And I'm just going to see if I can the wonders of technology and change my background quickly just for those that are watching. So obviously we put you through the mill, so to speak. So testing you in our new sports centre and in our physiology labs, and that's one of the first sessions that we did where we were setting your kind of baseline
2,000 metre time trial.
Yeah, and and then soon afterwards, and the way Adam's looking at me in this photo, I don't know whether he was so tired or whether he was looking at ways to hurt me, because we just put you through a bit of a session. But maybe tell us a little bit about what that's involved, what kind of things you've been doing in the sports science labs at Solent, and some of the challenges that you found physically in terms of preparing for this, and perhaps how we've kind of supported you during that journey.
For me personally, it's been an absolute godsend. We made the approach not really having, I've never rode before in my life. I've always struggled to sort of put weight on. When we do this challenge, we're expected to lose about 14 kilograms in weight. So we knew we had a lot of work to do physically and mentally. And Solent University have been there the whole way through, helping with nutrition. I've been in the bod pod a few times, which is a strange experience. They working with James Wright and in the labs, just having the facilities there and having our VO2 max testing, it's just been able to sort of open up our training massively. More recently, we've been working with Tom Dickinson, and he's been helping with a lot of strength training for me, and Stu as well, just helping on our technique, and that will hopefully progress as we're in the boat more. So we're in the hope that we can set up some cameras and we can look at techniques and things like that. Obviously, COVID has hampered it slightly, but we've been fully involved with you guys for a good year now, haven't we? And we've given you some mental health training as a thank you, which was great to come in and work with the staff and things, and just get an idea of the whole organisation. And it's a great organisation, so it's good to be involved.
I think also, just before Stu comes in with his comments, I think also we probably need to thank Dr. Ali Hill as well, who started off with the first part of that journey by giving you lots of body composition tests and a whole range of other bits and pieces in terms of nutrition. She's moved on to New Zealand now, but a great kind of contribution from her as well. Sorry, Stu, I'll let you carry on with some comments as well.
Yeah, so my journey's been a little bit different. Obviously, we started off in as you can see, that photo is fantastic, actually. I think we're totally maxed out there. That's pretty near the end of the 2K time trial, I think. Brilliant picture. Yeah, so my journey's been a little bit different. Certainly started off for the first year really well. My rowing experience is very much on the erg, so done quite a bit my whole life, really. So kind of built up a little bit of a resilience to that with my body. But then unfortunately my back gave out in March. So I've pretty much been laid up. I've paid privately for an MRI scan and I'd popped a disc out. So I'm kind of just coming out of that phase now. Been paying privately physio, and James Wright in particular has been really supportive through that process, not just from a training aspect, but actually kind of just keeping in touch with me from a mental health perspective, which obviously what this is all about as well. So from a psychological support from the uni as well, that's been really important to me personally. We had a good conversation, myself and Adam, with both James and Tom this week. I can fortunately now get back in the boat next week, which is brilliant, and start doing some stuff from today. So actually, it's quite good that we're doing it today as well. So yeah, so hopefully over the next 16 weeks, it's going to be pretty full on with me getting back up to full fitness with the support of the uni. But yeah, certainly some memories for me. The bod pod makes me laugh every time, and probably more so the pictures of Adam's made me laugh in there actually. But actually, the VO2 max testing is just horrendous. It just makes me physically shake and want to feel sick every time I think about doing one. But you kind of come out the other side feeling that actually you have made some improvements. So I can see the benefit to it, but a scary test albeit.
Yes, it's always our pleasure to deliver those tests to people who don't do those. So let's obviously this is a huge challenge for you physically and mentally going across, but let's talk about, really the backdrop of why you're doing it in terms of, raising awareness and also raising funding for the Firefighters charity and also Solent Mind, which is a kind of mental health organisation on the South Coast. So if you could just maybe take one each and just tell us a bit about the importance of those charities and why they're so important to you as firefighters and as individuals.
Do you want to go first, Stu?
Yeah, so I've probably tapped into the Firefighters charity more than most other people have, so I'll probably take that one. So I've been fortunate to utilise Firefighters charity. So they serve, they're obviously a charity fund-run organisation. So there's 3 centres across the UK. So there's one down in Littlehampton, there's one at Harkham in Devon, and there's one up Penrith in Cumbria. So they support both serving firefighters and retired firefighters, as well as the firefighter families as well. So Adam's wife, I'm sure we'll talk about it in a minute, has used that as well. Fantastic facilities. I've been there both post-recovery from when I donated the kidney and more recently for the mental health issues that I spoke about before. So they're a charity that always needs money. The COVID recently has really affected the fundraising of that because we normally do things like charity car washes, but they're a fantastic organisation that a supported standalone organisation that need public money. And really, because both myself and Adam's family have used it, it was a no-brainer for us to utilise them as one of our charities that we were going to raise the funds for. And hopefully, as the crossing starts, hopefully we can start to draw more interest and start to raise more funds. People kind of see us suffering and going through the motions on the boat, hopefully. But yeah, charity very close to both our hearts. But I'll let Adam about that and certainly pick up on the Solent Mind stuff as well.
Yeah, so Solent Mind, from my perspective, have been really instrumental in just changing a few things within Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service. They've been always really proactive with supporting their staff, but mental health is becoming more and more of an issue. And I contacted Solent Mind to just help get some management training so we could support our guys a little bit more when they're having tough times. And from a management perspective, unless you have that training, it can be a bit of a wilderness if you're trying to deal with it on our own. So we brought them in for some training, and they've supported me the whole way to help sort of get a bit more infrastructure within the Southampton group. They helped us design a course and things like that. And I've got friends who have benefited from the local services. So Mind is a national charity, and then they have about 270 sort of umbrella organisations, and Solent Mind cover South Hampshire, and they have everything from sort of nurseries to help get people back to work, and call centres like iTalk and things that can support you when you need it most. And I think the work they do in the local area is phenomenal. And they've been hit really hard by COVID. They've had to furlough a lot of their staff, but they're still trying to maintain the same services. So they definitely need their support, our support more than ever now.
Brilliant. Thanks for that. That's really, really useful and insightful in terms of how those two charities work. I think what would be really good now is just in the last kind of few minutes that we've got is maybe talk a little bit about mental health just very quickly and things that people can do. So, what can we do to encourage people to talk about mental health, and how can we go about improving our own mental health? So really just a couple of points from each of you really would be really helpful in terms of identifying things and things that we can all do to help out people.
I think the thing that's resonated so much with our campaign so far is that both Stu and I wear our hearts on our sleeve, and we are quite happy to talk through what we've been and what we've had to cope with in the past. Just to be able to sit in a room and talk to people just starts conversations. And we've worked with obviously Solent Mind, Southampton Football Club, we've run a course with, and within our own organisation. And there's so much learning that can be made from everybody. Everyone has mental health. Sometimes it's good, other times it can dip down. Recognising the signs and symptoms, and being aware of your friends and family, and them sort of giving you a nudge, asking if you are okay. They've probably spotted something that isn't normal for you. Recognising it and taking action is a huge first step.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think certainly when I went through all of my stuff, I was very nervous and almost embarrassed around the stigma around mental health. And for me to take that first step and tell someone how I was feeling within Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service as an organisation was the best thing I ever done. So I started opening up, talking about it, and as Adam's alluded, that we've kind of done that, and it's opened up conversations across the organisation and the wider fire or emergency service community. But for me, that was the biggest thing. Talk to people, and you will find that you are not alone in your kind of struggle with your mental health, and that really there is an end to it. There is a recovery, that you can come out the other side. Certainly have a conversation, talk to the people you need to talk to, get the help you need, recognise the recovery, and put some coping strategies in place so that if you do have that dip as part of your recovery, then you know what to do when that happens. And that's certainly been really, really beneficial for me. But there's been loads of stuff on the television around, Premier League footballers around talking about it. There's been adverts when things like the X Factor and I'm a Celebrity are on about, taking those 2 minutes to talk to people in those adverts. And that's what it's all about. We can get the nation talking, and hopefully we can both reduce the stigma of mental health and improve everyone's mental health.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being so honest and open, and hopefully we'll do this again in a month or two's time and catch up again. And see how everything's going from there. I think what I'd like to finish off with is just to pop this screen up, and maybe I'll move out of the way so my head's not in there, just to give people information about, they can donate, but it's not just about donating and fundraising, although that's really important. It's also raising awareness of these organisations. So hopefully if my screen works, I will move out of the way, and then if you want to say something quickly, that's absolutely fine. If not, we'll leave that up and people can see what's going on.
Thanks so much. Adam, is it worth you just talking about our page there, because you're probably better at that than I am?
Yeah, so you can follow us on social media at MindsMatterARC, and we're on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. We'll be regularly updating. We plan to hopefully do the trip across the Atlantic in 40 days. We'll be completely unsupported and making our own water, eating dehydrated food, and unfortunately we're in a bucket. It's going to be a lot of hard work. There'll be highs, lows, and we'll share as much of it as we can, and keep you all involved.
And thanks very much, Adam.
Yeah, thank you, Adam.